Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I am Jamila and I love all things beauty. I love all things makeup, I love all things skincare, and I especially love finding high-end and luxury beauty products at bargain prices. Yes, we do. You guys already know I love sharing my tips and tricks for how to find really expensive makeup at the best prices. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, please go ahead and click that subscribe button and join the family. Now, for today's video, I'm going to be doing my first impressions of the new Pat McGrath Mothership Mega Celestial Odyssey. I almost called it Celestial Divinity. Now, this is the second Mothership Mega. I do have her first one, Celestial Divinity. And I'm going to show you guys both palettes, talk a little bit about the differences, give you all some product details, some product swatches, and then I'm going to go ahead and do two eye looks. My face is already prepped and whatnot, so I'm just going to dive right into that. So this, like I said, is her second Mothership Mega. It does come with 18 shades. The sleeve of the box and the palette itself have the exact same design, so you don't need to keep it. The palette was made in It was made in the USA of US and imported materials, which is different from her motherships, which are typically made, all of the other motherships, the one in the lacquered package, are made in Italy. Now, you do get 18 shades, I believe 4 of which are mattes and the rest are shimmers. And also 3 or 4 of the shades are repeat shades. I believe 3 are from her Idols collection, which was her singles collection, and 1 was from one of her holiday palettes. Now, I don't mind that there are repeats in this palette because I don't really reach for singles that much. Plus, it's very different from her last year Mothership Mega, where 12 out of the 18 shades were repeats. So that was a big mess. Now, looking at the two palettes, you'll see very different designs, but still both very beautiful. The one from last year is definitely thinner than the one from this year. But I will say that this does feel more heavy. It does feel more luxe. It retails for $78. If you buy it during the Sephora Friends and Family sale, you can get it for 20% off because it is available at Sephora right now. Or if you want, you can wait for the Sephora VIB sale, Black Friday, all of these things are coming up. So don't feel like you need to go and rush and buy this. Now, let's look at the color story. Okay, so when you open it up, it does have the ribbons like the one from last year as well. And then you get the shades here, and they're absolutely beautiful. Now, you will see some of those pinky shades, which we know is Pat's signature. But it does have the blues and the greens that we were hoping for in the Utopian Dream palette. Now, here we have last year's palette and then this year's palette. And you can definitely see the difference between the two. Both do have the ribbons, but you can see the difference in packaging. Last year's palette, which is very, very colorful, lots of purples and reds and a beautiful color story, does have cardboard packaging throughout. So it definitely does feel a little bit cheap. It's a lot less luxe. I know a number of people, myself included, the sticker on the front of the package was crooked. That still bothers me till this day. So, that's one major thing with the palette in terms of difference. It does have the names on the back in the one from last year, and the one from this year also has it as well. Now, what I do love about the packaging for this year's is that you have the black lacquered packaging in here, which does give it a little bit of an extra luxe feel. It does make it a little bit thicker in size, but I don't mind that at all because I do prefer the more luxe packaging. And it also has Pat's logo in the center, which I think, gives it a little bit of a different design, which I appreciate. Like I said, this does come with 4 matte shades, and then the rest are shimmers. So you guys will see from the swatches here that it's a very, very beautiful palette. When I was swatching these shadows, it felt like butter. One thing I love about Pat's mattes is that they are so pigmented and they work really well on a huge variety of skin tones. I don't think I've had anybody mention to me that they have an issue with Pat's mattes. And I love this shimmer formula. Now, like with last year, you're not going to get any of her Blitz Astral shades. You're not going to get any special shades in this palette, but you do get her very, very special shimmer metallic formula, which I love because you can actually use Pat's shimmers as mattes. I don't know how or what kind of voodoo she put in there, but I do love this shimmer formula. The last thing I want to say is that what I like about this palette compared to last year's is that the mattes in this palette do lean a little bit more neutral. I think the one from last year were more pinky mattes, so pinky mauve, deep purplish. So if you needed like a deep brown or a deep black, you had to reach into another palette. But I like that you do get the pinky mattes, but you also get the neutral brown mattes, which I think work best with all of the shimmers in here. So let's just dive into today's look. I do want to do, I'm definitely going to play around in this green shade because Pat teased this one the most. And it just looks like, it just looks so good. Okay, so first things first, I am going to go in with this neutral shade here. I'll put the name of the shade at the bottom because one thing that people have flagged about this palette online is that the shade names are inverted. So I know I'm going to mix it up, so I'm just going to put it on the bottom. So dipping into that brown shade, and I'm going to start by buffing that into the crease using my Refa number 15. See? Littlest dip and all of this pigment. Okay, and while I have you guys here, let's talk about Pat's holiday release, shall we? So as you guys already know, this is the first release in Pat's holiday collection. It does also include 2 quads and a highlighter and then two blush trio things where you get 2 blushes and a highlighter. Now, the palette did release first on its own, and then Pat released the rest of the collection, which I thought was a really, really smart way to go about doing that. And my initial feelings upon seeing the collection was like, okay, I have to get the Mothership Mega because it's absolutely beautiful. It has that green in it that I want to play with so badly. So I knew I was going to get that for sure. And then I saw the 2 quads. And I was like, we've seen this before. This isn't new. And I pulled out my quad from last year, the one with the blue and the brown in it. And they're almost identical. Now, Pat did release a photo, and I'll put it up here comparing the 2. And I was like, okay, I see you. I see where you're coming from, Pat, but are you trying to play us for fools? Is this a joke? Are we being pranked? Because I see the difference, but I don't think the difference is large enough for you to justify saying that this is a completely new quad. Maybe it's a different finish, but it looks exactly the same. And is it gonna look like the same on the eyes too? So next I'm gonna go in with, I don't even know what this brush is called. I got it from Five Below, but I'm gonna go into this. It's a black shade with like blue teal-ish shimmers in there. And I'm gonna use that in my outer V. Like I said, with Pat's formula, you can actually blend out her shimmers as mattes. So that's what I'm gonna do. And how I like to apply my outer V shades is to start by stamping it in the outer V and then blending it outwards. Okay, so to continue with my story, I guess. Now, when I saw the quads, I was like, both of these look like quads that I already have from Pat. Not shades that I have in my collection, just generally, but actual quads that I already have from Pat. So it's not like I would be getting a different formula by picking up Pat's. And because they looked honestly exactly like what I already owned, I decided to skip on them. You know, I decided that this was gonna have to be something that I would need to wait and see from, you know, reviewers on this platform and everywhere else to give me real swatches. Because the other thing too, when it comes to Pat's promo picks, is that you get the fancy lighting. You get all of this stuff that definitely changes the way in which the shadows actually appear. And I wanted to see somebody swatch it in natural light, in their house, in direct sunlight, so I could see, you know, if there really was a difference with the quads. Now, I know that the quads have been shipping out really, really slowly. I could barely find any reviews on it. I haven't seen anything on YouTube. I've seen a couple of pictures on Instagram. And here's the other thing. Apparently, the pan sizes are smaller. Yes, you heard that right. The quads, the new holiday quads have smaller pan sizes, which means less product is what I'm calculating in my head. However, the price has not changed. Patricia, I have questions. Not only are you giving us quads that already exist in my mind, but you are giving us smaller pant sizes for the same price. Something not adding up. Something is not adding up, and I don't know what to say. Because I am beginning to feel like a whole clone, you know, lusting after and trying to hunt down these palettes that are not cheap. And I wanna stress that. You know, Pat's makeup is not cheap. To spend $55 for 4 eyeshadows is in some ways a little crazy. But, you know, we do it because we love her formula. I love supporting a Black woman. I love seeing an indie brand like Pat's do well, be successful, and her products are quality. Like, you can't argue that. Her shadow is top notch. But I am beginning to feel like a fool because this release, the last release, I don't know. I'm just like, what's happening? Is there a disconnect somewhere? What's going on? So now I say all that to say, and actually let me show you guys how this is blending out. This is so beautiful. Like, you can see how it blends really nicely, and you can still see those blue flecks in there, which I really love. Oh, such a beautiful palette. I lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? Okay, I'm gonna take this JH45 and go into the beautiful green shade, which I'm pretty sure is called Citrine Envy. And I'm gonna put that into the center part of my lid. I haven't decided if I want to put another shimmer in the first third, but we'll see where this goes. Okay, I can't remember where I stopped, but as you know, the thing about Pat's makeup is that I want to buy the quads, because I mean, it is she's made it clear that it's not the same shade. Oh, and I have a ton of fallout here. So with that, I'm actually gonna first I'm gonna try to take my brush, my powder brush, and dust some of that fallout off. I think I'm making it worse. I'm definitely making it worse. Wow. Okay, okay, I'm gonna try to lay some powder down there because I need to catch some of this fallout. I should have known better. I'm gonna have to clean that up later. Okay, so I have a little bit of green fallout. So, and that's the thing about Pat shimmers too, is that they definitely have fallout, and her shadows, at least her shimmer shadows, are definitely best applied with a finger. So I'm gonna take that citrine shade on my finger and just tap that into the center. There we go. Beautiful. This is so pretty. And then taking that brush that I first tried to use, I'm going to try to blend in the edges of that green a little bit. That's really pretty. And lastly, I do want to add one more shade to this look. There's so much shimmer fallout. I'm going to go into the shade right next to Citrine Envy. This one right here. And I'm going to put that in the inner third of the eye. So I'm going to try it with a small brush first to see how that applies. That's really pretty. And then I'm just going over with the brush that has the green to blend that together. Lastly, I'm going to take the Refa brush that I used for that first shade and just go over the crease a little bit. Okay, that is beautiful. Let me see. This green shade is everywhere. This is ridiculous. I have so much green shimmer. If you were planning on doing your makeup first, your base first, don't, because it's not gonna work well for you. Let's start with the second shade. Sorry, the second eye look. So for the second eye look, I'm again gonna go into the brown shade here as my transition shade. Next, because I learned my lesson, I'm gonna go into this orange shade here, which I believe is called Corrupt Copper. Beautiful shade. This is one of my favorite shades when I swatched it. And this definitely has a more satin texture than the green shade, which is a very, very glittery, finely milled with a lot of fallout. So I feel like this one will go on, wow, a lot easier. Oh, that's beautiful. That is so pretty. And I'm putting that into half of my eyelid. Okay, I'm gonna take my Refa number 2 and just clean up that shade. So I definitely picked up a little bit more product, and I'm getting that precise application. And then, because I've been wondering how this is gonna look together, I'm gonna take this blue shade, which I believe is called Palladium or Nirvana. I don't know, I'll put the name up there. Take this blue shade and put that in the outer half of my eye. So I'm gonna use my finger for this one because it does look like it's more textured, similar to the green shade. And then taking my cracked shadow brush, I'm gonna clean that up and make that just a little bit more precise. So also picking up a little bit more shadow on the brush. Now I do want to add a little bit of dimension to the outer part of this eye, so I'm gonna dip into the deep brown shade in this palette, just a tiny bit, and try to deepen up that outer blue part just a little bit. Now, one thing I immediately noticed is that I have virtually no fallout on this side of my face, whereas I'm like looking a little crazy here. And the last thing that I want to do is go back in with my Refa, which has a little bit of that first shade still on there, and blend the edges of the top together. And then I'm taking that down the middle a little bit to blend that blue-orange shade together so that there isn't a harsh line between the two shades. Now I am losing a little bit of the orange, so I'm gonna go back in with that Refa number 2. Also, I still want a little bit more dimension there, so I'm actually gonna go into the black shade with the blue sparkle in there and see if I can just tap that gently over that outer corner. And give us a little bit extra depth. And because it has, you know, blue sparkles in there already, I feel like it's just gonna look so good and blend so nicely together. Yep, that's already looking much better. So I'm liking where the eyes are right now. I'm gonna go clean up my face a little bit, try to get rid of some of this fallout, and then come back and show you guys my waterline, and then be ready to finish the rest of this video. Okay, I'm back. Crisis averted. I actually just went over the area with I added some more foundation into where I had a ton of fallout. So, I mean, I guess that's one thing about that green shade. I mean, it's the prettiest shade in the palette, but ton of fallout. So for both eyes, I'm gonna take the black shade with the blue shimmers and put that into the outer corner. Now, this is also one of those shades that does have some fallout, so just be careful. It's definitely a more glittery shade. And I went in with a little bit of the deep chocolate brown on this side. For this eye, I'm gonna go into the Corrupt Copper shade and put that into the inner half of the waterline. Then I'm gonna clean off that brush that I used for the black shimmer. I'm gonna take this blue shimmer actually and put that in the inner half of this eye. One, because I want to have a little bit more, I want to try a ton of colors if I'm being honest, and two, honestly this is mainly because I'm afraid to put that green on the waterline and then cause even more fallout, because that was a little traumatic. That is beautiful. But I'm gonna do exactly what I did not want to do and add that green. Now I'm gonna go in with very tiny brush. This is from the Ariel and Morphe collab, and see if I can just stamp the green in with as little fallout as possible. It's a little bit of fallout. I'm so afraid to dust anything. I had a tiny bit of fallout on my nose. That green shade is flaky, but it's not bad. It's like, it's not an ugly shade by any means. It's just super flaky, which I guess in a lot of ways explains why everyone kept getting that shade broken. Okay, so let me just finish up the rest of my face really quickly. I've already bronzed, but I want to add a little bit of blush and some mascara, some liner, and then I'll be back to give you guys my final thoughts. Okay, so I'm back. I added some liner, I added some mascara. For highlights, I went in with Pat's Divine Rose Blush, which I believe was Holiday 2020. And I also used that in my brow bone. And then for lips, I went in with the Fenty, what is this called? The shade is Underrated. Oh, yes, the shade is Underrated, and this is her liquid lip. So let me scooch in a little bit closer so y'all can see both of these eye looks, and then I'll give you guys my final thoughts. Okay, so final thoughts. Overall, this palette is amazing. This is a beautiful palette. I 100% could say that I actually prefer the color story of this palette over last year's color story. When it comes to quality, it's Pat's quality. Like, there are no duds, there are no issues, everything blends like a dream. I will say that some shades are definitely more satin and some are flaky, like that green one, so just be careful. I definitely see why people got that shade broken, because it is such a textured shade, but when it applies onto the eyes, it's like absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. I think that's probably the closest texture or the closest shade in this palette that you'll get to her special formula. Now, again, in terms of quality and value for your money, I think this is like one of Pat's best. We all know that Pat's big motherships give you 10 shades for $125. This is 18 shades for $78. I think it's 78 or 75. Pretty sure it's 78. But it's way less money and way more shades. And even though the pan sizes are smaller, if you have a large makeup collection, or honestly, even if you don't, it takes such a long time to go through eyeshadows in the first place that I don't think that you would be mad about this. So this is definitely something that I would recommend picking up if, one, it's your first Pat palette, two, if you're on a budget and you want something that'll give you value for money, and three, if you have to choose one thing from Pat's holiday collection. Now, circling back to my earlier thoughts about the full collection, I do think that she tried to play us a little bit with those quads, which very clearly look like repeat shades from her previous lines. So I am very hesitant about that, especially now hearing that the pan sizes in those quads are smaller. So I have a lot of reservations there. Also, I'm really glad that she did bring out the blush trio options, because if you were interested in her blushes and you didn't pick them up, I think that this is a great option for you to get 2 blushes and the highlighter for a little bit of a cheaper price. Now, I unfortunately don't think I'll be picking those up, because when I looked at the blush trios, the shades that were in there were shades that I already had. So it would just be duplicates and honestly a little bit of a waste of money. As for the highlighter that's a part of the holiday collection, I have over 40 highlighters. I don't need any more highlighters. Not a single one. Would I want to try it? Honestly, kind of. Does the embossing look beautiful? Does the packaging look beautiful? Yes, 100%. But I don't necessarily need that right now. So I think that as it comes to the rest of her collection, I will be, holding off a little, really reassessing, readjusting. Hopefully she'll have a Black Friday sale and that will be on sale as well, so I can get at least the quads for a cheaper price. I do want the quads because I do collect her eyeshadow. And, I'm seeing a big red nose on my face knowing that I'm going to be buying something I already have. But I'm going to have to pray on that and help Jesus and let Jesus guide me. Anyways, I hope that this video was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my 2 looks with the Pat McGrath Mothership Mega Celestial Odyssey. Jeez Louise, these names. If you did, I would love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment down below letting me know if you want me to create more looks using this palette for inspiration. And as always, I love having you guys here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye!